How's it going, guys? This is just going to be a quick story called Passing Out in the School Parking Lot by R.D. Andy on earwood.org. I had a fun time reading this. Um, yeah, I hope you guys do too. Let's go. While this was not the first time I had smoked, eaten, or ingested cannabis in some way, this was the first time I had actually gotten high from it. I had tried on three separate occasions with no luck. I had smoked from a bowl, I took hits from a pen, and I even ate an entire edible in a bathroom during my high school homecoming. Nothing was getting me high, and I came to the conclusion that I either had a super high tolerance or was in fact immune to the effects of weed, forever destined to be the sober one of the group. I was very wrong. On this occasion, I was offered another edible by my girlfriend, who I will call A. A had gotten these edibles from her uncle, who had happened to make edibles like this for a living. Apparently, this specific type of edible was meant to help you fall asleep. A had her own as well, telling me to only take a small bite because eating the entire thing would make me pass out. I promised, and we both went our separate ways to take the last classes of the day. Of course, I didn't listen to her. I went to the bathroom about 15 minutes before my final class ended and ate the entire thing in one go. It stunk and tasted even worse. I remember gagging as I tried to get it down, putting soap in my mouth afterwards in an attempt to both get rid of the taste and mask the smell of my breath. I returned to class 10 minutes past, and as the class ended, I felt disappointed that even after 4 times, I hadn't felt anything at all. As A and I convened her in my car in the parking lot, we discussed our classes and how taking the edible went. She was clearly high. Her eyes were red. She struggled to keep a straight face in between questions, and she struggled to form sentences. Sensing my disappointment, she asked me, "How much of the edible did you take?" "The whole thing." Her face went stone cold. "You took the whole thing? Oh my god, are you high yet?" As I started to say yes, my entire body melted into the driver's seat of my car. Everything I did had a lag time, as if I did something and 10 seconds went by before anything actually happened. Nothing like this ever happened to me before, and my mind was racing. Well, in reality, it probably took only a couple minutes to reply. It felt like hours had passed. I eventually managed to let out a very slow and long "yes," which made A laugh. But this was no laughing matter. My senses were being assaulted, and my only partner through this dark and scary time was laughing at me. It was horrible. Only 5 minutes into my journey, and I wanted it to end. I remember feeling as though an hour had passed, looking down at my watch to see it had only been 10 minutes. A suggested we drive to the local convenience store, and then somewhere more private to enjoy being high. Seeing as though my judgment was impaired, I said yes. I started my car up and went to pull out of the parking lot. Driving while high was probably one of the most nerve-wracking and dangerous things I've ever done. Just pulling out of the parking lot was hard enough. How was I going to drive across town to the store? I was silently freaking out as I pulled up to the stop sign, preparing to pull out into the open world with other real drivers. A turned on the radio. I remember getting mad and turning it off, telling her I needed to concentrate. Every push of the gas pedal was a delicate balance between not moving at all and flooring it into the car in front of me. I remember at one point I even had a cop behind me. I pictured him reading my rights as he pulled me over and cuffed me. Luckily, he turned left long before I ever reached the store. When I finally did get to the store, A offered to go in for me. I was barely trying to talk to her, let alone people who I didn't even know. It felt like she was in there for hours, and I could feel myself sweating as I sunk down into my seat, trying to avoid the gaze of passerbys who I felt were judging me for being high. A came out and I breathed a sigh of relief. We pulled out of the parking lot, an experience just as hard and scary as leaving the school parking lot. I drove back to the school, forgetting that A had wanted me to go to somewhere else. I was done with driving and wanted all of this to be over. I pulled into the parking lot, put the car in park, and crawled into the back of the seat where I passed out immediately. My dreams were vivid and feverish, and when I woke up, it was completely dark out. I had slept for 16 hours in the back of my car, and A was gone. Apparently, she had gone home with a friend. I breathed a sigh of relief and started up my car again to go home.